you're interested in hosting amazing conversations on Clubhouse, we want to help, right? A lot of people, they're smart, they're funny, they have domain expertise, they're great at bringing people together, but maybe they don't quite know what the idea is or how to get started. Maybe they don't have an iPhone, maybe they're an Android user, maybe they don't have the equipment that they really want to have. It's not trivial to promote a show, to line up guests, to get feedback on it, or maybe you need a babysitter for a few hours while you work on hosting your room. So we want to build out tools that allow everyone to do all of these things really easily at scale. And while we're working to build out those tools, we want to do things that are more hands-on to just get going and to start helping people. So we're launching an accelerator program to do it in more of a hands-on way. And we'll probably try and target around 20 shows from emerging creators. We'll probably focus on sort of high frequency daily shows, on all sorts of different topics, all sorts of different formats. So the basics are it's a 3-month program where we'll pick a small number of applicants and really work with you very directly to help you make your shows amazing, make sure you have all the equipment that you need, help you learn how to promote your conversations, help you get paid as a creator, and do everything we can to support you, and then take those learnings that we get to together with you and increasingly work to build them into the product so that everyone over time can have access to all of those things directly from within the app. So if you're interested in doing a show, please submit your application at creatorfirst.joinclubhouse.com. The deadline to apply is March 31st. And we're really, really excited to see what comes in there and to work with all of you on that. Also, we kicked off the Clubhouse World Tour this past week. That was a lot of fun. So grazie to the members of the Italian community, Riccardo and Monty and Alita and many others. That was really, really fun just to come together with people specifically to talk about their language, their culture, their experience of Clubhouse, what it's been like for them, what's unique to their experience, how we can help, what kind of conversations we can help host, and to meet some of the creators there. So we want to continue doing that for countries and languages all around the world. And really excited to do the next one. Got a lot of great learnings from the first one and had a ton of fun. So thank you so much, everyone who showed up for that. And let's move on to product stuff before we get into Q&A. So this past week, we didn't push a release out, but we were hard at work on a new one. And hopefully we will get it out in the next few days. A lot of that depends on like approval time. So you'll work on stuff, you'll QA it, put it through quality assurance, and then like you'll discover a couple bugs and you'll have to fix them. And then you submit it for approval to the App Store. And then sometimes they have questions and it comes back and it takes another couple days. So we try to set expectations around when we're going to get these things out, but a lot of times they'll end up slipping or taking a little bit longer than expected. It's kind of the nature of the beast with this stuff. But we're hoping to submit something today or tomorrow. And then usually if everything looks okay, it'll get out a day or so later, but sometimes it can take longer. So that's the timing for this next release. We're still finalizing a few of the features that are going to make it in, so I won't overpromise, but it will have some cool new stuff for creators. It'll have a fix to the notifications tab. So right now, a lot of people, if you go to your activity tab, the bell that shows up at the top of the hallway, you'll see there are specific types of notifications where you have to tap a button to either say, like if a friend of yours joins, you have to either follow them or dismiss. If you get invited to a club, you might need to either accept that or decline it. And a lot of times people have different ways of going through their activity feed. Some people just might not like clearing it or might not get into it. And so we noticed a really large percentage of people have like 5, 10 or more notifications in their activity feed that are always stuck to the top. So all the new stuff gets buried, which is really bad. So obviously what we should do is just show you a few and then have some sort of overflow. And we're going to fix that so that everyone can get their activity feedback, which is going to be a nice thing. We've got some improvements to trust and safety tooling, and then we've got a lot of stuff that we're doing mostly under the hood on the discovery front. So we always talk about the different pillars of the product. One of them is just welcoming more people to the community, and that's things like Android and localization and even creator monetization tools, because that gives more people a reason to come on and to bring their community. So growth is something that we think is really important because the more great creators there are, the more people in the audience there are, the better the experience is going to be for everyone here. The second pillar is just keeping the wheels on as we grow, and that's through things like the infrastructure and performance and scaling support and scaling trust and safety. The third big bucket is discovery. And then the fourth is the in-room experience, like all the hand raise queue and tools there. I want to talk a little bit about that third bucket because that's a really, really big area of focus for us right now. We've grown so quickly all around the world that a lot of people, you might be having a hard time finding the best rooms, finding the people that you follow. You might have noticed that rooms that come up in different languages are appearing in your feed. And we really want to make sure that we're investing very heavily in discovery because that's a hugely important part of the product. And by discovery, I mean a few things. I mean, showing you the right suggestions for people that you might want to follow. It means showing you the clubs that you should really join. It means showing you the best 3 rooms at the top of your feed every time you open up the app. Right now, there are thousands and thousands of rooms happening all over the world. And when you open up your phone, you probably only see a few of them above the fold. We want to make sure that we're showing you the right rooms for you. And that's no simple task, right? There are a lot of different things that go into a room, like who's speaking and who's listening and what's the topic and is there a club hosting it and does that club tend to host good conversations that you would like, and is the room itself interesting, are people being retained when they join? Like, there's so much that goes into making for a great room, and we want it to be personalized to you. So that's a really big task that's going to always be a huge area of focus for us. And then I think the last thing that falls into discovery is notifications, making your notifications great. So Clubhouse it's a live service, right? And it's not the stuff's not recorded. So if you missed it, you missed it. And we want to make sure that when an amazing moment that you would love to see happens, you know about it. And we also want to make sure that we're not sending you notifications about things that aren't interesting to you. And the hard thing about notifications is that if you send too few, you're going to miss the interesting moments. If you send too many, it's going to be annoying. And everyone has a different set of preferences. So I always say we really have 2 jobs. One is to get better and better and better at showing you the right notifications that are interesting to you and not showing you the wrong notifications. And the second thing is giving you the necessary tools and dials and buttons to tell us what types of notifications you want to receive if you want to do that. It's totally optional, but if you're sufficiently motivated, you can tell us, send me very few notifications. I only want the most important ones, or send me a lot of notifications because I never want to miss anything. You can say turn off certain types of notifications. You can pause notifications till tonight or tomorrow morning or until next week. And every time you follow someone, you can say, always notify me when this person talks. Never notify me when this person talks. Like, I want to see their rooms if I open the app, but I don't want to get notified about them, or sometimes notify me. So um, it's just really, really important. And quite frankly, like, we have a lot of work left to do on discovery, a lot of work left to do. Like, there's so much that we can do to improve it. So we just hired a few more people for the discovery team, which is great. So you can expect that to just steadily get better and better over time. So in this next release, some of the things that we're doing are making sure that follow suggestions of people you might want to follow take into account the interests that you have. If you've added some interests in your settings, we're doing a big audit of notifications and analyzing what types of ones tend to have the highest tap through rate, and are we sending too many of this type or that type, and what are how do we make sure that we sort of refactor that to make sure we're sending you the best ones. We're working to get a better understanding, a more personalized understanding of who are the people that you actually want to get notified about, and that you actually want to hear from, and who are the people that you might not want to hear from as much. And so we're building out the foundation for all of that stuff in this next release, and a lot of that again is under the hood. And also we're making the beginning of some improvements to club search and to user search to make that stuff better and better over time. So I know, like, none of that stuff is visible, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but it's just critically important to this product. And so I want you to know that's really top of mind for us, and you can expect that stuff to steadily get better over the weeks and months to come. And then after this release that we're hoping to get out sort of midweek this week, the next couple of releases, they're really going to be focused on helping club founders, helping people who have clubs, who are working on shows, to have all the tools that they need to manage their memberships and to grow their audience over time if that's what they want to do. So that means fixing the member and follower count issues. Right now, if you go to a club page, you only see the number of members, which is silly, because if your club is really one that is about reaching a large audience, that means that you have an incentive to convert every follower to be a member, and that's really hard to do using the tools today. And we've heard that from a lot of people, so we just want to fix that. We want to make it easier to invite people to your event from not just within Clubhouse, but from outside of Clubhouse. We want to make it easier for other people to discover your events and generally for you to grow your reach every time you host a new show, if that's what you're interested in doing. So a lot of details that we're working through right now with regards to the specific features. But if you are a club founder, if you work on managing a club, you're working to build your audience, just know that the next few releases are going to be really focused on helping you have the right tools to manage your memberships and to grow your audience over time. And I believe that is it on the product front. So with that, you want to jump into Q&A, Anu?
Let's do that. First of all, I'm really excited to hear about the club upgrades because we get so many questions about that. So I think that's going to be very exciting.
Oh man, long time coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone's patience while we've been working to build this stuff out. So, all right, let's go to Q&A.
Let's
What's the
do
first
it.
one? What do we have?
Okay. Product and feature stuff. So a bunch of questions, and of course, a reminder that please submit questions live, and we'll try to get to them at the end as many as we can. Okay. So first question is around our invite model. Do you anticipate changing the invite process soon? And will there be a point when you don't have to have an invite to join?
Yeah, so I guess like zooming out a little bit, like we are building Clubhouse for everyone in the world, and we are not trying to build some sort of exclusive digital Soho house, right? Like we're building something for everyone, and we're working really hard to open that up to the whole world as fast as we can. And the reason why we haven't just opened it wide up is because when you scale a community too quickly, things can break. And we want to make sure that each time we add new people to Clubhouse, the experience for all of you gets better rather than worse. And so the reason that we did it through an invite model rather than us picking people is because we don't want to decide who joins Clubhouse. We want you to decide who joins Clubhouse. And so we had the system set up where when you join, you automatically get a few invites, and then as you contribute, as you talk, as you host rooms, you just automatically get more invites added to your account, and you'll get a notification that's like, oh, thanks for being such a great contributor. We've added a few invites to your account. And if you invite Michael and Michael's a great contributor, we'll say, wow, thanks so much for inviting Michael. Like, he's been amazing. We added more invites to your account. Please add more people like Michael. And that's worked out really well because it allows everyone to bring their friends in. But I think more importantly, it makes it so that everyone who joins Clubhouse comes to the party with a friend, right? They see some familiar faces. They have someone who can host their welcome room and sort of show them the ropes and invite them in. And it's been a really nice way to grow. And the reason, like obviously we want to move beyond that, right? Like we want to make it so that even if someone has like the Clubhouse community is quite large now, but even if someone has zero connection to anyone in the Clubhouse community, we want them to be able to join. Like part of what gets us so excited is this idea that no matter what small town you live in, no matter what your economic situation is, no matter who you know or what networks you have access to, you can be in the room. You can open up Clubhouse and be in the conversation and be part of it. And the people who are already in that conversation can learn from your perspective, right? They can talk with people whose lived experience is totally different from theirs, and so that's a really really core part of the mission. The one thing I would say though is that I was talking about the discovery stuff before. Like we still have work to do, right? We've got a lot of work to do to make sure that the experience scales as we grow. We've grown really, really fast over the past couple months, and that's very exciting. But I think that we need to make sure that as we add more people, the experience is scaling. And I think that like when you grow really quickly, it really stresses that stuff, right? Like you've probably seen foreign language rooms in your feeds that are based on languages you don't speak. You probably had a harder time finding some of your friends and finding the best content. We've had to be all hands on deck over the past like 6 weeks to make sure that the service stays up and to really invest in building out our team. And we've got an amazing group of people joining the team over the coming weeks. And so we've been building out that infrastructure, but I think that we've been growing. I don't think what we need to do right now is to grow faster. I think we need to grow in a thoughtful way. So it's hard to know when we're going to completely remove the invite wall, because we need to make sure that as we turn those knobs up, the experience scales. And frankly, I think it needs to scale better than it's been scaling over the past few weeks, because we've just been growing so fast. So my hope is that we do it in the coming months. I just don't know exactly when that's going to be. A couple other things I'd say. One is, another part of the reason we want to open up to everyone is because there's so many incredible creators on Clubhouse, but there are also so many incredible creators not yet on Clubhouse who have an audience elsewhere, and we want them to be able to bring that audience in, right? We want them to be able to host conversations and bring their existing community in, because I think everyone's going to benefit from that, and particularly the creators will benefit from that. So that's a little bit at odds with a straight up invite model, right? So we made a change over the past week or so, where if you have a club on Clubhouse and you invite people via that club invite link, the nomination badge will be your club's name as opposed to your name. So it might seem like a small thing, but I think it opens the door a little bit for us to allow club founders to invite more people in, to invite more of their existing audience in, without having to worry about like personally knowing and vouching for everyone. And it also allows more people within Clubhouse to discover that club anytime they visit one of those invitees' profiles. So we're making some small changes now to move in that direction, but it's going to be really important that we can just open it wide, open it up to everyone. Android's obviously going to be really important. Localization is obviously going to be really important. And then the last thing I would mention is, while we're working on getting there, two things. One is, if you have a club and there is a community that you want to bring in, let us know. Shoot us a note. I think support@joinclubhouse.com is the best way to do it so far. Anu, correct me if that's wrong, but just let us know, and we'll try and accommodate. Like, we've had conferences and other organizations where people want to bring in like an existing event or an existing community, and we're able to allow them to bring large groups of people in for that. And so we're always looking at ways to support you when you're thinking about doing that sort of stuff. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing that I want to mention is that accessibility is another thing that we're thinking about a lot as we open up invites. So not just like Android and localization, but more and more accessibility improvements. We want everyone around the world to be able to experience Clubhouse in a way that works for them, that feels native to them. So that's something that's really top of mind. And the third thing I'd say is, if you know someone who's not on Clubhouse that is trying to join Clubhouse but doesn't yet have an invite to it, and you don't have an invite to give them, they can sign up at joinclubhouse.com. And what we actually do is we look to see if they already know people who are on the app, and we'll ping them and we'll say, hey, so and so signed up. Would you like to move them to the front of the wait list? They won't use up an invite. And a lot of times that's how people can get in pretty quickly. So if you know people who are looking to join, please just let them know they can sign up at joinclubhouse.com, and just by downloading the app, and we can hope to get them on board really quickly. And the last thing I would say is, like, those are the reasons why we have an invite model, but like, we just can't wait to open it up to everyone. Like, I hate that everyone can't join right now, and I feel so grateful that anyone wants to join, and that the community has grown to what it is today. So we say it with a lot of humility and a lot of gratitude, and hopefully we can have it open up to everyone in the coming months.
That is a lot of work for us to do, and I'm excited about it.
You're telling me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try to get through a whole lot
of
I'll
try not to spend that much time on every question.
There's so much to talk about. Okay. Discovery and trending. You kind of mentioned discovery. So one of our users asked us, can you please show us rooms that are popular for everyone, or are these already in my feed? I don't follow that many people and don't want to keep getting notifications from them, but I would want to know what the top rooms are. So I suppose they want like topic first or popularity first discovery, as opposed to by their follow graph.
Yes. So Maya Watson joined our team recently, and we're so excited about that. And part of what Maya is working on doing is building out our approach to programming and how we think about that. And ultimately, what we want to do is make it as programmatic as possible and personalized as possible. So you follow the people that you want to follow, and and we will and their rooms will appear in your feed, right? That's how it works today. The feed is based on who you follow, but there are a lot of other dimensions to it too, right? There might be people that don't want to follow a lot of people when they join up. When they join, there might be, we have a topic graph now too, which is starting small. It's about 150 different topics, but we want to expand that and make sure you can say, well, I don't know who the best creators are in crypto or philosophy, but I'm interested in those topics. You tell me. And we can either tell you who to follow, or we can tell you what clubs you should join, or we can just show you some rooms that are good. The idea of having like best rooms popular for everyone, um, the challenge for that is that people are different, right? And people have different preferences. So what we'd like to be able to do is show you suggested rooms or featured rooms, and not show the exact same rooms to everyone on Clubhouse, but to take into account what language you speak, for example, or what topics you're interested in. And so I do think that there is a role for editorial for us to show you rooms that we think you might like, even if you don't yet follow those speakers. But I want to make sure that we're not doing it in a really blunt way where we just take one room and show it to the entire user base, because that user base is really diverse. That user base is interested in all sorts of different topics, and the user community comes from all over the world right now. So we don't want to show you um, all these rooms in your feed if you don't even speak the language. So yes, Maya is on it, and that's a big area of focus for us over the coming month, I would say. And we're going to be hiring more people to focus specifically on that. But those are some of the issues that we think through as we work to implement the right solution there.
Yeah, I think this is really cool too, because it relates to being open without needing an invite. If someone joins that doesn't already have a community, what do we show them?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Question around follow suggestions. How do you get suggested as an expert in a topic in the directory? And how do clubs get ranked in the directory as well?
Poorly. I'm just kidding. It's not that. It's not that bad. I'm just so aware of all the ways that we want to improve this.
Yeah.
So the way that you get suggested as an expert in the topic. So right now, that is it is pretty. It is pretty. It's pretty rudimentary right now, right? And I'll tell you, a big part of it is people who tend people who say they are interested in this topic tend to disproportionately follow this person, if that makes sense. So we didn't want to base it based on which topics you said you are interested in, because that would allow people to game it, and it's not necessarily like an honest signal. But the reverse, what I was describing, is more of an honest signal. But I think there's a lot more that we could be doing there, right? We could look at people, we could look at a lot of other signals to try and understand what the candidate set is and who is at least interested in these topics. We could look at like the retention rate of rooms that they host and how often they're active. We could do a lot of manual curation. We could look at clubs that are tagged with that topic and who are the hosts of those clubs. We could do it. We could have feedback loops in there so that people who follow that person tend to join their rooms repeatedly very often once they followed them, which would imply that it was a good follow suggestion. So there's a lot of stuff like that we could do. And we do some pretty basic stuff right now. But I will say it is independent of what topics you say you are interested in. So there is no real way to game it right now. And clubs, what we do is we look at clubs that have said they are associated with that topic. So we do use that signal as one input there, because you can only pick 3 of them. So it kind of forces you to be thoughtful about which ones you pick. And then we look at sort of the size of the follower base. We look at which includes members. We look at the activity of the club, how recently they've hosted rooms, and there are a lot of other signals that we're starting to take into account there. Michelle and our team recently made some improvements to that, so I think that stuff's going to get better and better now too. But the goal here is to make it so that the way that you get suggested there and elsewhere in Clubhouse is to just and is to host great conversations, to be a good speaker, to be someone that people want to listen to. I think that if you do it consistently, if you do it through a club, then it's more likely that people who have an interest in any one topic that you're an expert on would consistently come back and follow you and discover you. So if you do it in a more structured way, I think that you're more likely to get discovered for those topics. But really, the way we want it to work is that the people who are active, the people that are the best people to follow for that topic, are going to be the ones who get suggested for those topics. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think this question was phrased as an expert, but I think we're not thinking of it exactly as an expert where we're saying they are such, but more about who's perceived as a valuable contributor. Because I think sometimes we get that question around, are these people verified by us? So I just wanted to point that one out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's sort of that's sort of how we think about it there. And then it really is related to some of the programming stuff too, right? Trying to think about the best content to show for each of these creators. And the other thing I should mention is that Fadia joined our team recently, and just in this past week, which we're really excited about. So she's going to be working, with Maya, with Steph, and is going to be so like we're just so excited to have her be part of the team officially. She's been such an important part of the early Clubhouse community, and she's going to be doing a lot of work to help with creators, with programming, with media partnerships, and to make sure that like amazing conversations are happening on Clubhouse, um, and that all of the creators in music and in all sorts of other areas of media are constantly supported, that they have the tools that they need, and that their audiences are growing. So hugely excited to welcome Fadia to the team officially. She's been like an unofficial member for such a long time. She's been bringing so many great people to Clubhouse and contributing so much to the community, but to officially welcome her this past week too. So hopefully you're going to see this stuff just keep getting better and better and better.
Okay, question on clubs. I want to learn more
Yes.
about the people who join my club as followers or members, or even join my club rooms. What features will you have to make this possible?
Oh, that's very interesting. So I can think about this from two different angles. One is like, before I add someone as a member, I want to I want to kind of like have more information to decide whether I want them to join like the private rooms that I host in my club. And the other one is I want to have more like audience insights and audience analytics to understand them better, so I can create content that works for them. And I think both of those are interesting. I think that like in the future, there are a lot of people now, like a lot of conversations that happen on Clubhouse are happening in club rooms. They're sort of social rooms and private conversations. And you don't actually see those in your feed. So we want to support people, support club founders in building out their communities if they want to have a more focused or a more curated set of people in certain conversations, like whatever that means to them. Um, so we do want to have the ability to apply to clubs in the future and sort of provide information that the club founder wants to use to make the decision about like what type of people they want to bring together, or which specific people they want to include in the club. And then I think that this other one about audience insights, that's pretty interesting. Um, I guess the first level insights that we want to give to club hosts is basic things like the peak listeners, concurrent max, concurrent max concurrent listeners, total listeners, retention rate of the room. Now, this idea of getting feedback from them, that's pretty interesting. We would just want to make sure that it was all uh, done in a way that's really opt-in and really transparent. So you can imagine in the future, maybe they could ask questions of their members. They could have a way to make announcements, to ask them what sort of content they want to have, to ask them more information about them. I know we get a lot of requests from club founders for that sort of stuff. We just want to, we'd want to do it in a way where it was really, really opt in and transparent to all of the members of that club. because like we don't want to build a business that's based on extracting data from people. We don't want to build a business that's based on ads and that sort of stuff. We want to build something that's about creators getting paid directly from happy listeners and participants who want to thank them for the experiences that they're creating. And we'd like to collect as little data as possible. But if there are ways that club founders want to communicate with their members and their members want to opt in to share information about who they are and what they want to hear, then I think that's great. And I'd love to build tools like that. There's nothing on the roadmap for the next few weeks, which is about as far as we plan in advance for most features because we're learning so quickly here. But I love that idea in the future. Anything that can help club founders create better content for people is a good thing.
Another thing that we've been getting a lot of questions about is events.
Oh, yeah.
So I know we're super excited about this. One of our users was asking us, I'm thinking about hosting a big event that would normally be offline, but instead would want to host it in Clubhouse. What are the things I should consider, possibly when comparing to other online channels? I'm trying to understand what the big event experience would be like in Clubhouse.
Yeah, so a lot of people do this organically. And like I've seen a bunch of South by Southwest events, which have been really cool. There have been a lot of like small conferences where people do like the cocktail party in Clubhouse, right? So I guess what I would say is we are not planning to build a full events platform or anything like that. Like we want to allow people to we monetize, right? Like I can imagine having ticketed rooms and things like that. We want to really work on empowering creators and hosts, and I think a lot of people who are hosting events count as that. But I don't think we're not going to do video. We're not going to do any sort of like full on enterprise event solution. Certainly anytime soon. That's not what we're focused on. You can think of Clubhouse as more like I mean, there are a lot of rooms that feel like panels, right? We often talk about the conference analogy where you have the keynotes and the smaller rooms, and then you have the hallways of the convention center. And that's what I get most excited about is being the hallway where people who are all really passionate about some topic can come together and meet each other and learn and have discussions. So I guess this is a long-winded way of saying I wouldn't view us as like a full featured enterprise events platform. But I think the reason most people go to conferences and they go to events is to talk with other people, to have those hallway conversations, to hear from experts, to ask questions, and a lot of those things they're really well served by what Clubhouse does. So if you have an event that you want to throw, I think the best thing you could do would be to let us know about it, and we can work with you kind of on a one-on-one basis to see how we can support it and understand what your needs are, because we're pretty early in that process right now. So if you write to partnerships@joinclubhouse.com and you let us know that there's an event that you're trying to host and we can try and point you in the right direction, I think that'd probably be a really good place to start.
Okay, question about our sound control or sound options.
Yes.
The volume difference between users are really large, which makes us need to change the general sound for different users. It would be nice if the sound setting could be customized along each speaker so we could adjust it.
That's a really good point. Anu.
I can't hear you.
Try and fix that. I feel like I'm in Lullaby Club. Okay, I have noticed that happen a couple times. I'm sorry that this person is experiencing that. The reality is it should not do that. So I think their solution here is saying it'd be nice if the sound setting could be customized along each speaker so we can adjust a specific speaker's volume. I actually think my preference would be to make it so that you never have to adjust the volume, to kind of equalize it across all speakers. Rohan, I don't know if you have any thoughts on like volume adjustments and sort of how it works right now, or if there are issues that we've seen there or improvements coming down the road. But I know it's something we've seen occasionally and something that we would want to fix in the
I was
future.
actually just thinking about it. I think I've seen this issue. It'd be great if somehow we could detect different volumes and equalize them, but it may not work for every room either. Like it wouldn't have worked for the Lion King. So we'll just need to figure out how do we build something like that? But I'm very, very intrigued right now to try to think of like how we could solve this.
So sorry, we don't have a better answer for that. But I think the answer is you should not have to adjust people individually. Like we should just equalize it for you. And again, we are building out the team. Like we're 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 not 7 people, we're like 15, 16 people now, but we've got another dozen or so people joining the next week or two. So um, we're working to grow the team quickly, and we have some amazing people who can help us get all this stuff going. So hopefully we can fix that soon.
I love these like questions that are actually veiled product feedback, which we then actually take and then take action on.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay, here's another one of them. Breakout rooms. So, in quotes, get a room button within a room when an adjacent or new idea comes up would be really nice, because there isn't enough time to discuss those in the main room. You often hear moderators encouraging speakers, you should get a room on X all the time.
Yeah, so I think that for anyone who doesn't know, there is kind of a way to break off into smaller rooms. So if there's a friend of yours in the room, meaning they follow you, if you tap on their profile photo, you'll see a button to invite them to go start a breakout room together, to go start a little side conversation together. And the way it'll work is they'll get a ping that'll say, "Hey, Paul invited you, wants to know if you want to go start a new room together." And if you can say, maybe later. And they'll say, Sterling can't do it right now, sorry. And you'll both just stay in the room, no harm done. And it's fine. So it's a pretty low cost thing to do. But if Sterling were to say yes, then a new room would form. The two of us would be transported to it. We would be the first 2 speakers, and it would start off as a private room. And then we could open it up to a bigger audience if we want to do that. So that is how you do breakout rooms right now. But we don't yet have something that is more sophisticated than that. But I think it's a super interesting idea, and it's something that we have talked about before. So perhaps in the future. I think we will in the future. It's just really a question of when.
We've heard you mention that recording will be a feature at some point. Will they be for all rooms or only for some room types? And do you think this could make users think about listening live versus later differently?
This is something that we've had a bunch of conversation about, and our philosophy on recording is creator first, meaning if you, the creator, want to record it, great, you should do that, and you can go use it as a podcast. You can put it wherever you want. Like, that's great. You just have to have the permission of all the speakers. The other question is, do we Clubhouse enable room recording? And I think reasonable people could argue each side of this. Like, I think on one hand, if creators want to do that, we should make it easier for them to do it, right? We should make it easy to say, hey, this is a recorded session. Check out that red light. That means it's being recorded. Before you come up on stage, you have to agree to it. And we can give you the audio, and you can go do whatever you like with it. The question is, does it change the nature of the dialogue? Does everyone start recording it then because it's easy, so might as well? But then that suddenly makes people hesitant to come up on stage. It makes people more scared to talk. You can imagine if we hosted the audio, people might say, well, like on one hand, that's this rich corpus of content, which is great. But on the other hand, you don't really have to be there when it happens. So you say, I'll just listen to it later. Then suddenly you have a queue of content. It doesn't feel quite the same because it's not live, and suddenly it becomes work making it through your queue. So I think that it's a tricky one. And if we did introduce it, then it would definitely be creator driven. They would choose whether to enable it or not. And I don't think we would archive the content on Clubhouse. I think it would just be a tool to help creators who want to use their content elsewhere use it elsewhere. but it's still sort of, it's still TBD. And I think yeah, and that's sort of some of the internal discussion we've had about it.
Absolutely. Okay, a couple more quick product and feature related questions. So one around monetization.
Yeah.
We've heard you mention it, but when can we expect to see monetization features in the app? And what will the first applications of it be? Will there be a way for us to manage payments directly in the app?
So yes, we are very excited to launch to launch monetization features in the app. We'd like to we're planning to we'd like to do it soon. There are a few different types of monetization that we think about for creators. One is just direct payments, so that you see people typing in their Venmo and their Cash App links in their bios today. We should make that easier, and we should make that more native. I think that subscriptions, we'd like to have those in the future. We'd like to have paid events. We'd like to help facilitate some of the brand sponsorships that are happening just organically. Like I think that there are a lot of brands that are coming to us and saying they want to host conversations for the community, and they need a moderator. They need someone to help them run their show. And we think that that's great, because if they're helping facilitate great conversations and making them happen, and it's a way for Clubhouse creators to get paid for hosting conversations, I think that's fantastic. And so we want to facilitate all that stuff. We're hoping to do it soon, but we don't have specific timelines right now for all of it. But it's very top of mind for us, and we're actively working on that stuff, and hopefully can give more guidance on all that stuff soon. I just don't want to do it till we have exact timing, because this is the type of stuff that can end up taking longer than you might expect. And I think I'm cognizant of the fact that in the past we've had some releases where we're like, hey, coming out Tuesday, and then we don't end up shipping something for a week and a half because all sorts of new things happen. So that's sort of how we think about it. And then I do think that I think that the order in which I talked about it, that's probably the order that we that's sort of roughly the order, payments, and then I think the brand stuff happens kind of organically, and I think subs and ticketing happens probably a bit later.
Okay, this is a fun one.
Yes.
Do you have an IRL Clubhouse? And would you ever host rooms or events in person?
Oh man, I love that idea. So Maya actually mentioned this. She's like,
yeah, we were talking about this.
She's like, in 2022, we have to have real Clubhouse. So think about this. Imagine we had some sort of event. What I want to do is local meetups. So I can go meet all of the members of the Clubhouse community in all these different cities around the world. And I always say this, but it's going to completely blow my mind to meet people in person, because I feel like I know people so well and I've never even seen them once in my life. But what I was suggesting is we have an actual Clubhouse event where we invite people to it, and we have physical rooms for the rooms. And you could be in Climate Club or Lullaby Club or something like that. And you or Cotton Club. Can you imagine a real life Cotton Club event? That would blow my mind. And you can meet all the people that you knew really well. So no, we don't have a real life Clubhouse. We don't have an office right now. We'll probably get an office after the world, after COVID is a bit more under control. But I love the idea of having a huge community event where you have actual physical rooms, and I really want to do that once we're able to do that. But it's probably not going to be till at least later, late this year, early next year. What a great idea!
There's been a bunch of people actually that have already been meeting up, not organized by us.
I know.
Yeah.
And they'll call in sometimes. They'll
Yes.
all be in a room in New York, and they'll dial in and ping me into the room, and I'm totally jealous because they're all getting to meet each other. I think it's fantastic. I think it's amazing.
Okay. I want to run through about 4 kind of trust and safety related questions to make sure that we're talking about these things as well.
Okay.
First one is around, I guess, diligence around what types of followers you're getting. So someone wrote us, I recently got a bunch of followers at once that I didn't think found my profile organically because I wasn't in a room at the time. How do people discover me to follow me even if I'm not in a room? And how can I know if they are, quote, organic follows, or they might be something like a bot?
Well, hopefully they're not a bot, because we work really hard to make sure there aren't
Yes.
bots here. But so you can be discovered in a lot of different ways. People can discover you inside a room, from the topic directory, from follow suggestions when they sign up. When they tap on someone else, you might get suggested as someone they might also want to follow if they want to follow this person. And so I would say, like, people can find you in lots of different ways, even if you're not in rooms with them. If you think that it's a fake account, then please let us know. Hopefully you don't find those. Like, if you saw that it was a new user with, with low or no followers, no bio, no social connections, like, if it looks suspicious, just let us know. And I guess that's what I'd say about that.
All right. A question about copycat apps or related apps. Is your app really available on PC? It seems like there might be an alternative, or somebody else suggesting that there is a PC version of Clubhouse.
No, Clubhouse is not available on PC. It is not available on Android. I think we've seen a couple things, like, as we've grown, we've seen a huge ecosystem of tools for Clubhouse to help you create your bio, to create your event listing, to have, like, chat for your events, to have analytics for your events. Like, it's crazy. Like, every day on Product Hunt, it feels like there are more of them. And I love, I love, like, I love the spirit of it. I love that like, people want better tools for this. And I'm really grateful for all that in a lot of ways. I'm also aware of the fact that we don't know who these developers are. We don't know, I imagine the vast majority of them are, like, really well-intentioned, independent developers who are making amazing things. But we can't vouch for any of them. So there could be big security risks there associated with using third-party tools. And there are definitely people out there who are trying to impersonate Clubhouse. So if you see anyone creating an Android app that says it is Clubhouse, it's not Clubhouse. And I would strongly urge you not to use it, because it could be it could be harmful, right? And it is certainly not the real Clubhouse. Same thing with PC. There's no PC app for Clubhouse. So I would just, again, we're working really hard to get on Android, but it's going to be a couple months. Like, I'd love to have a desktop app someday, right? But we do not right now. And so there's no Mac app, no PC app, and I would just be very careful when looking at anything that looks like it's Clubhouse. If it's not this Clubhouse app in the App Store, and it's not at joinclubhouse.com, it's not us. There are also a lot of social accounts that are not us right now. So today we are at Join Clubhouse on Twitter. We are at Clubhouse on Instagram. And if it's not one of those accounts, it does not belong to us. So, good reminder.
Yeah, I think those are super helpful. A question around paid promotions. Should users know if a brand is sponsoring a room or a moderator/speaker? How transparent do you think users need to be if they're getting paid?
I think that I think they should be transparent. And so I think what we want to do is build tools that that allow people to specify exactly, how it's happening, and what the nature of it is. I think that this is something that we're working right now to understand, to see what's happening, to see how we can help support it in the right ways. So yeah, I expect it to be more structured going forward, and I think it's a good thing, because I think what we want to do is embrace the brands that want to pay creators and help match them to the right creators. And it's really, in the spirit of direct creator monetization. So I think, like, yeah, I think the right solution here is one where as many creators can get paid as possible. Like from a consumption experience, like it's just conversations and people. You're not interrupted by ads, and um, there's just a really good healthy marketplace for that. So yeah, we're excited about that. It should be transparent, it should be structured, and it should be like a good, liquid, healthy, growing market.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 more questions. A
Yes.
quick one around follow requests or asking for follows. In some rooms, I've seen moderators telling people they must follow the room creators and mods and or clubs in order to be allowed on stage. Is this, a norm or a behavior that is allowed?
That is very creative, though. So I guess that is not explicitly against the community guidelines right now. There's definitely a cultural norm against asking people to follow you when you're on stage, because or asking other speakers to follow you. I think there's kind of a norm against that, because it just puts someone in an awkward situation where they might have to do something they don't want to do because you're publicly pressuring them to do that. And I talk about that in orientation. I'm like, don't do that. That's poor form. um, but I do think it's good, like if someone is hosting a conversation and they say, hey, if you enjoyed this, like make sure to follow the club. Like that's a totally healthy thing, because sometimes people might not think to do that. Now, this idea of only taking questions from people who follow them, I think that people can, um, it's not explicitly against the terms of service. If you see behavior tip into like spam-like activity or other rules violations, like please let us know, please report it, and we can look into it. What I would say though is like there are other built-in tools to help people um, manage that sort of thing. Like there is a section of people who are followed by the speakers in the audience right now, so you can pull questions from there. And in the hand raise queue, when you take questions, you can limit the set of people who can ask questions to people who are followed by the speakers. And can you, and I think also you can limit it to club members and followers. Is that right? Can you currently do that on it?
I hope so. I know we were planning on shipping it. Rohan might know.
Okay, I think you can. So what you could do is, if you're hosting a room, you could limit the hand raising to that, just so you're taking questions from people who are more committed, more dedicated, a more trusted set of people. And you could announce to the room that hand raise queue is open to that, and that would encourage people to join the club or to follow you if they wanted to ask questions. So I think there are kind of nicer ways to do that. But if you ever see behavior that you think is hurting the experience, even if it's not against the community guidelines, like let us know. And community guidelines are meant to evolve. And if there's something that's causing a bad experience for people and we're just not aware of it, like it's something we should think through. So feedback always welcome on this stuff.
Yeah, big +1 to that. Okay. Last question, real-time question, referring back to the Creator First Accelerator that we mentioned earlier on.
Yes.
Really excited to hear about the Creator Accelerator program. Can you tell us how you'll be evaluating the applications? What do you consider to be a, quote, good creator on Clubhouse?
Oh man, this is a great question. So I think that this is the first time that we're we're going to have multiple programs, right? And we're going to learn as we go along. So this is the first time we've done this form of, an accelerator program that's really focused on this type of content. So the way that, so I guess that's a long-winded way of saying like it's going to evolve. And we're going to figure it out as we go along. But if you look at the application right now, it asks you some basic details about who you are, like what type of content you tend to create, if you have any co-hosts, and then we have just like a blank section to tell us about the show that you'd like to develop, and we ask you to include the frequency, the format. There's a space to have a sample audio recording, and that could be of your show if you already do the show, or it could be just you talking about yourself and how you like to bring people together if you don't already have a show. Because we literally, we want this to be open to everyone. Like even if you don't have the economic means especially if you don't have the economic means to do this, like we want to help you do that. If you don't have an iPhone, like we want to help you do that. Like if you're an Android user, and so we want to reach a broad set of creators around the world. We're probably going to have a focus on high frequency shows. I think it's really good when people can host daily shows because at the same time every day, because it helps people build that relationship with them. It helps them build just it's just nice to know that every morning when I'm getting ready for work, like I can tune in to news or something like that, or every evening at 10 when I'm most evenings at 10 when I'm like working at nighttime, I can listen to Good Time. And I think people really enjoy that. So we want to have a focus on high frequency shows that are, daily or every weekday or something like that. But it's not exclusively focused on that. You could have, if you want to do like a once a week high production show, like Felicia does, or something like that. I think that's okay too. But we will be primarily focused on sort of high frequency shows. We want to have a lot of different formats. So we love it when people make content that feels really native to the medium, that really takes advantage of the fact that Clubhouse is live and it's interactive and participatory. And so we get really excited when people develop new formats that really work on Clubhouse. And we want to have like news is a category I've talked about a lot, but so I love news. I love we love like variety shows. News can cut across many different things. There's like business, there's entertainment news, there's tech news, there's world news, politics, sports is a category that we're really excited about, and but so many others. If you look at the categories, there's like history and science and wellness. You look at like meditation rooms that happen, like the ones that like Lisa does. Like there's beauty, like that's another big vertical. So I guess we want breadth, we want high frequency. We really like the idea that people can create a recurring relationship with their listeners. But I think the best thing about it is we I think we've already received a lot of applications, and I think that we're not even going to be able to imagine. I mean, how like the things that people come up with. Yeah, so staff just messaged me. We have like thousands of applications already.
Yep.
And so the thing that I'm most excited about is not me saying here's what we want to see. Like we might come up with sort of a request for shows in the same way that YC has like a request for startups, where it's like here's some that we think are really interesting that we'd love for people to create. But I think the best ones are probably going to be ones that we didn't even imagine, where people who are more creative than us come up with something that we never even would have imagined that just completely wows us. So that's what I'm most excited for.
I am super excited for this. And I know
Yeah.
Rohan often talks about biotech coming up a lot. I know there's a lot of like healthcare and beauty and even like fertility, and there's just like so many different areas that I would love to see
Advice
so
shows,
much more.
support groups. Yeah.
Maybe something like an SNL native to Clubhouse.
He makes fun of me because I like SNL so much. So that's what I'm excited about. I can't wait to see what people come up with. And speaking of creative new formats, I was told that straight from their hit Broadway show, the Grammy-nominated group Freestyle Love Supreme is going to be performing live on Clubhouse tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. And a lot of people were telling me about that, and I'm really excited about that. So I wanted to give a quick plug for Randy and Jenny and everyone else who is involved in that. I'm going to try and check that one out tonight. And I think there are probably lots and lots and lots of other amazing rooms that are happening right now and elsewhere. So I'm going to let everyone get back to their Sunday. And thank you so much for being here. Like I always say this, but it just blows my mind that people are willing to spend a little bit of their weekends with us. And if you had a question that we didn't get to, we can try and get to it next week. We could, or we'll try and get to it at New User Orientation if you're new. or we'll try and answer it in a room that we pop into, because we're popping into rooms all the time. But our job is to help you, to answer your questions, and to be here to support. So just go to support.joinclubhouse.com, and hopefully you'll find the answer there. And if not, you'll find a way to message it to us. And as always, we are just immensely grateful to have you be part of this community. Clubhouse is nothing without the people. It's everything with the people. And I know it's been like the past 6 weeks have been pretty crazy, with all the people joining from everywhere. We've been kind of all hands on deck, just working to keep the basics going. But we're really excited to get back into shipping more features now that we've scaled up the team a bit, and we're gonna have some really exciting stuff for you launching in the coming weeks. So hopefully you like it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I'm just really grateful to have you be part of this thing. So have a great weekend, everybody, and hope to see you again next week at Town Hall and in the rooms in between.
Thanks, everyone. Happy
See you all
Sunday.
really soon.